Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and a very warm welcome to Tuesday's edition of the DC Universe Daily Live. Having trouble getting those words out. Today is the day, and we're going to discuss it live. So if you've got anything to say about James Gunn's upcoming announcements today, please have a chat here on Movies TV Mad. Everyone is free to state their opinion. No one has a wrong opinion. So everyone can have their say. That's the point. I may agree with you. I may disagree with you. But my word isn't the word of God, whoever your God is or whoever your God. But this is a kind of a show I do daily, either pre-recorded or live, where we talk about DC Universe, DC live action in general. So I will tell you what's going on in the world of DC live action, but I will give you my opinion. It's the news with attitude. So let's go. So today is the day James Gunn, the newly formed co-chair of DC Studios, and Peter Safran, the other co-chair of DC Studios. This is a studio that's just existed in the past, 6 months? Not even that. They're in charge. And they're taking control of DC as a whole. That's gaming, animation, movies in the movie theater, movies and TV shows on streaming. And they've already told us that they're going to catalog one story on all these different platforms. It's a very ambitious, exciting idea. And James Gunn has been building us up for a very, very long time. So, yeah, he's been building us up. He's been getting us excited. So, you know, this is the day, isn't it? This is the day we find out more. So, yes, I cannot wait to find out what James Gunn has to say. Now, my expectations, I don't have any expectations because this is very unpredictable. James Gunn doesn't allow leaks, so we don't know what's going on. So, I am as in the dark as everybody else to what's going to happen. So, yeah, bring it on. I'm really happy and excited. Now, there are rumors. Dave Bautista, the actor who's worked very closely with James Gunn, has claimed that it's going to be a full reboot with younger actors. Although I think that Dave was just stating his opinion on this. We'll have to wait and see if he's right or wrong. There's a rumor about a Booster Gold streaming TV series. I would be very, very excited about that. I think a lot of fans would love to see Booster Gold. So, yeah, bring that on. But we don't know what's true or what's not. And that's why we have to wait for James Gunn to tell us what the hell is going on here. James Gunn has made it clear that, you know, there's just a few announcements here. I expect some announcements within films for movie theaters, streaming, animation, and I think he'll announce 1 or 2 games, maybe. I think if you're saying you're going to do this on all these different platforms, then you need to spread the joy on these different platforms. So they've been working on this for a little bit now, not too long, but David Zaslav wants to get this format up and running. So I'm very, very excited to see what they're going to do. So what kind of time will this announcement be? Well, I think about 5 p.m. UK time at a guess. And here in Cyprus around 7 p.m. So, yeah, it would be great. Absolutely great. So just waiting to see what's announced. And, you know, people are excited. Don't listen to those fools who are saying nobody cares. Everybody cares. Everybody's hyped. But as I say, when you hype up everyone for these types of announcements, you know, some people may feel underwhelmed because, you know, I think people feel this is going to be bigger than what it actually is. But I think what I want is just to know the context of what's going on. I don't think he'll tell us what's connected to the current DCEU or not. We'll have to wait and see about that. We will see. We will see what he has to say because we do not know what he has to say. So that's the thing. There are no leaks here. We do not know. Many people making predictions about what will be said today and maybe stuff left for, San Diego Comic-Con later on this year. And that could be the case. I think people are over-focused on San Diego Comic-Con, and I think it really is all about today. It's a huge announcement that fans are anticipating. And I think it's very important that people understand that, it's not going to be the whole thing, but I think he will, make some announcements and get people excited. He's been kind of quiet. He hasn't been posting as much, but he's been around. He's popping up in people's comments as he does. James Gunn is always watching. He's always around. So, that's really exciting for the fans. And I know so many fans who are so, wholesomely excited about this situation. So let's wait and see. Let's wait and see what he has to say. And, listening to rumors, there's no point because we simply don't know what's going to happen today. It's going to be a bit of a surprising day. We don't know what exactly is going to be announced. So that's good for me. That makes the thing more exciting. So we don't know what he is going to say. And we don't know what he isn't going to say. So there's no point in preempting that situation. This is a really new situation for DC fans in general. We have never had this type of situation before where someone's actually in control of the whole thing, that there's actually a studio head, two DC studio heads. This is not Warner Brothers running this. This is him. Scott Edwards, what's up? Good morning from Cyprus, Scott. What time is it where you are? Ronnie Dodge, morning, Mick. I know what time it is where you are. It's about 12 minutes past 9 a.m. So thank you for being up so early and checking in on me. Always great to be talking to positive people. Scott Edwards, what's your state prediction or your slate prediction? Scott, I don't think we'll necessarily get a slate. We may do. SLCA, hey, welcome everyone. It's great to have you, lovely, nice people, here with me. And I know you're as excited and as hyped and maybe even a little bit worried about what you're going to get because we are DC fans. We've been let down so many times. I don't think we'll be let down this time. So, Scott, answering your question, maybe not necessarily a slate, but maybe some titles. Which is a slate, I suppose. Maybe a couple of movies, maybe a couple of games, maybe a couple of TV streaming shows and some animation as well. Maybe that's as far as the announcement will go. But that's a lot more than we have right now. So any information will be gratefully received by yours truly. Ronnie Dodge, people are hinting it's more than 4 projects being announced. They don't know, Ronnie. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. He hasn't told anyone. Apart from the people he trusts, he hasn't told anyone. There's no way anyone can know. Scott Edwards, I think Aquaman might be announced. Aquaman, I don't know. I don't know why Aquaman will be announced because we got a film this year. We got Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. I don't know. Is he going to announce any castings? I don't think. He's made it clear he doesn't do castings until he's finished the scripts. Well, he's only working on one script right now. I don't know if he's got other people. He may announce some other creatives and producers and people technically who will be involved and working in DC Studios. He may give us some details about the everyday workings of DC Studios as well. And for me, that will be very, very welcome. Ronnie Dodge, Umberto was at the event and had exploding head emoji. So what we're saying is, Ronnie, that there's been an event, there's been a press conference, and he was very excited by it. So that's interesting. I've seen rumors. I've been seeing people joking about a press conference at Warner Brothers, and I didn't know how true it was. But if Umberto's done that, Umberto's not really much of a person with a sense of humor. Umberto blocked me a long time ago. Yes, I do make some enemies. We all make some enemies, and enemies are fun. I embrace the haters as much as I embrace the lovers. Lovers do become haters. That's life, right? So I embrace it all. When you do this stuff, you just embrace anyone who speaks to you, and it's never personal for me. So that's very exciting, Ronnie, that Umberto did that MOJ. What does that mean? That means we could be getting something very exciting. That's a positive move. Ronnie Dodge, I feel we will definitely get Superman news today. I would imagine so, Ronnie, considering he's actually actively working on that project. Scott Edwards, a Supergirl movie. A Supergirl movie would be very welcome for me. I'm a big fan of Helen Slater in her Supergirl movie from 1984. Now, that film flopped disastrously in the cinema, but I like it. I have a soft spot for that movie, and Helen Slater was wonderful in that role, and I would love for someone to do something special with Supergirl. In fact, Supergirl in the comics is absolutely epic, and I'd like someone to adapt something from her comics. Scott Edwards, oh yeah, there was a Twitter leak confirming Wonder Woman for the Flash movie. Yeah, she's in the movie. There was rumors they were going to cut her cameo. Let's wait and see. Ronnie Dodge, have you seen the Flash pops have been leaked, and there's Zod and Wonder Woman? Yeah, so we know Zod. We know Michael Shannon, Zod, and Fiora's going to be in this as well. So they're two of the things I'm really excited about. The Flash, and yeah, that's awesome. Ronnie Dodge, have you seen? No, I've already read that, so I'm up to date. Smash the like button if you love me. Prove that you love me and smash the like button. But yeah, I can see your anticipation. I can see your excitement, and that's how I feel. I feel that finally we've got a DC Studios, that we've got people who understand that this is an entertainment platform, but also that it's a business, and good business means entertaining people and hyping people. Ronnie Dodge, Black Flash looks cool on a pop all spiky. Now, I did see a picture of Black Flash. Now, I didn't see Black Flash in the test screening, but I did see, I think Chris Wong Svensson put it up on one of his videos, and he does look pretty awesome. And so, really excited about the Flash movie. I think that's going to be a really cool movie. I think all this year's DC movies are going to be really, really cool. So I'm excited for this year's movies, and I'm excited to move on from this year's movies and get a couple of people who really want to take this platform and this franchise on. Scott Edwards, I feel like the movies this year could be a great send-off for the DCEU. Yeah, listen, the Snyder DCEU has been dead for a long time. There's no question about that. But this film will be released kind of like with the 10-year anniversary of Man of Steel. And this film puts itself in an alternate version of Man of Steel. So that's a big celebration of Snyder's DCEU within the Flash movie as well. Ronnie Dodge, by the looks of the pop, Gal is wearing the 84 suit. Yeah, because that's the way they were going at the time. Scott Edwards, seeing Diana again would be nice after the numbness of 84. Yeah, listen, I think Gal in the movie, even though the movie's not great, I think Gal did a really great job. And there are some good moments within the movie. I think Cheetah was an absolute fail. Nothing to do with the actor. The actor is absolutely fantastic. I even like her in the all-female Ghostbusters movie. But they failed. They failed Cheetah. Cheetah is such an epic character in animation in the comics. Basically, Patty Jenkins has no knowledge of the comics, and the Cheetah she gave us proved it. I felt like we were watching Gus Gorman from Superman 3, played by the late, great Richard Pryor. Scott Edwards, the script was the problem. Yes, Patty Jenkins and Jeff Johns' script was very, very problematic. Ronnie Dodge, I hope James does Cheetah justice, as he's a comic nerd. Yeah, I think, look, this is the thing I'm excited about now, that he knows the comics. He understands the comics. But who knows? We can only hope. I wish I had a precog that tells me the future is going to be great and everything's going to be all right, but you just simply don't know. All we can do is hope that James and Peter are the real deal. I think in the past we've had people who have wanted to kind of self-absorb their own fan fiction with the DCEU rather than understand that this is a business, and a business has to be maintained like the MCU is. It's made as a business, but it's also entertaining. You know, the hype for MCU announcements, you know, the Kang Dynasty. You know, Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, a very exciting movie, even for a non-MCU fan like me. This is the kind of thing we want. And already you can see that this announcement today, whatever it's going to be, has DC fans genuinely hyped because they understand what kind of person James Gunn is creatively. Ronnie Dodge, if we get a Green Lantern announcement, I will cry. Yes, a proper, bona fide Green Lantern would be awesome. Scott Edwards, I would love a Green Arrow and Black Canary movie. Now that, Scott, will be something I'd be very supportive. I've been desperate for live action, you know, Green Arrow in the DCEU for a long time. Well, now it's DC Universe. I think it's time for Green Arrow. As I say, I want to see an already populated Justice League, and Green Arrow should absolutely be a part of that. Ronnie Dodge, I read in the opening in The Flash, we see Black Zero event from Barry's point of view. I'm not gonna say, oh, I've seen that, but I'm going to say, yeah. So that's pretty exciting, isn't it? Because if you think about it, we've seen it from Superman's point of view, Batman's point of view. So it's kind of only right that we see it from Barry's point of view as well. So this movie is a celebration, really a big celebration of Zack Snyder's DC Extended Universe. Now, the Snyderverse fans are not going to see it that way, but there's a lot, you know, because, you know, we're seeing an alternate version of Man of Steel. It's a celebration of Man of Steel. Unfortunately, we're not going to see much, if anything, of Henry Cavill, the guy who starred in Man of Steel, and that's a shame. Scott Edwards, was Wonder Woman in the test screening you saw? No. But they don't show you stuff like that. So yeah, I think today is a historic day for DC fans. Ronnie Dodge, apparently the announcement is 9 a.m. PST time in the USA, so 5 p.m. UK time. Yeah, thanks for that, Ronnie. Yes, that's how I've worked it out myself. I did Google it. I tried, because these time translations are a fucking nightmare, especially if you live in Europe, because everything's based on American times. So 7 p.m. here in Cyprus. So once the announcement's made, I will be here and we will cover it all here on Movies TV Mad. Scott Edwards, we could see Batman, Flash and Wonder Woman teaming up at the beginning. But yeah, so I think what I will say about the Flash movie, Scott, it's the Flash's story. Inherently, his story, because Ezra Miller is literally in every scene of the movie. And whatever we think of Ezra Miller, he's a damn fine actor. Ronnie Dodge, what if we got a Batman and a Robin project? That would be extremely exciting. You expect to see James Gunn's Batman in James Gunn's Superman movie as well. We may hear something about Batman today. He's already said Batman will be very important in DC Universe. And yeah, that's right, isn't it? I mean, Batman's huge. You can't ignore Batman. Scott Edwards, I wonder if Black Flash is an evil version of Barry. I think you can take that as a given. Kind of. But yeah, Ezra Miller is doing a hell of a lot. And he's not just playing one version of this character. But the reason it's not called Flashpoint, because it's not a direct adaptation of Flashpoint. They're using the Flashpoint element to change the timeline. But of course, that was the old plan. And today we're going to find out, hopefully, a semblance, an essence, and a limited amount of the new plan, which is extremely exciting. And, you know, that's going to be very informative. And I think that's why fans are hyped and excited, because we want to know what's going on. We want to know we have a future. And I think that Black Adam was the rod that broke the camel's back, even though I enjoyed that movie. The box office for that film, I think that's when they said, you know what, we've got to change direction here. We've got to do something. Scott Edwards, I think Flashpoint might connect to the new reboot. Ronnie Dodge, wonder if we will get an official DC Studios Twitter account today. That would be good, because I was expecting that when the actual studio launched, and they haven't done that, which I think is a bit of a misfire personally. So I would hope, yes, everything comes up so we can see it. We can see all that information on that Twitter account, and it can't just be from James Gunn's account all the time, and that will be great. So yeah, hopefully official DC Studios social media account being launched today would be a lot of fun. If they know what they're doing, they will do that. So yeah, something to look out for, Ronnie. Definitely. These are the things that we want to see from the studio. DC Studios is an independent studio run by James Gunn and Peter Safran, and they're free to do what they want with their plan. So they are the studio. They're the ones who get to say what happens. So it's a very different situation from what happened from the launch of the DC Extended Universe. Warner Brothers obviously will own DC Studios, but it's an independent company within Warner Brothers Discovery. And this is what we've been asking for a very, very long time. Some people don't want James Gunn there. They want James Gunn fired for no particular reason. You can't fire someone for things that happened before he worked at a company, right? Even though Disney did do that with the historical tweets. But he's apologized about that. We move on. I certainly do anyway, because I want DC to be great, and I'm not here for one director or the other director. I'm always here for DC to be great, and the DCEU certainly has some great moments, but a very inconsistent franchise, with meddling and infighting between directors and studios. The embarrassing situations between the studio and Zack during the build-up of the Snyder Cut was absolutely embarrassing. Children, please. Ronnie Dodge, today is going to break the internet. Some fans will be upset and be outraged, but we can be excited for the future. Yes, some fans, no matter what's announced today, will be putting up gifs of Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill was a very, very good Superman, but unfortunately, he isn't Superman anymore. And I do hope that he plays some kind of different role as a DC character. I mean, it'd be interesting, wouldn't it? I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but him as Batman would be insane, but it would be an interesting idea, swapping those dynamics around. But yeah, he'll play something. Probably not Batman. I just think that's a wicked idea, isn't it? That would certainly create some opinions. Maybe he can play Alfred, considering he's British. Right? That would be funny if he actually played Alfred. That would be insane. Ronnie Dodge, no one can be Superman forever. It happens, unfortunately. Yes, I think it's beyond that, though, because I think Henry's time is tainted. He got to do Man of Steel. Then they wrongly decided to do a Batman and a Superman movie. And then they killed Superman too early. And in the Snyder Cut, he's barely in it. And he never got his Man of Steel sequel. But he's made 3 more Superman films than any of us. Ronnie Dodge, who could you cast as Alfred for the DCEU? Oh, there's so many funny ones that you could do, couldn't you? You could get Ross Kemp, who played Grant Mitchell. You could get Steve McFadden, who plays Phil Mitchell right now in EastEnders. I think they'd be kind of funny and interesting castings. But there's so many different British actors that you could choose for that role. Scott Edwards, does Iris have a big role in the Flash film? No. And that is another misfire, unless they did some reshoots with her. But yeah, I mean, listen, even the way she's introduced in the Snyder Cut, for me, is a bit weird, even in Justice League. But, they don't already know each other, which is strange for me. There's no established relationship there. So yeah, she doesn't play a big role in the movie. She's the last thing. She's actually the film's final fault, which is a bit strange to me. Probably because they didn't feel they could recast her. She was cast by Zack, and maybe they didn't feel comfortable about putting her front and center. They couldn't get rid of her, and they didn't want to use her that much. That's what it looks like to me. Ronnie Dodge, to see Jimmy Olsen in this new universe is going to be amazing and won't die within 5 minutes. Listen, my opinion about Jimmy Olsen has been stated a million times. He's a school leaver who joins the Daily Planet, who becomes Superman's best pal. So that's an amazing story, Ronnie. That captures my imagination. A young boy, an ordinary young boy, who becomes Superman's best pal is one of the most beautiful things you can get. To me, he's like the companion in Doctor Who. He's basically us being pals with Superman. And if done properly, and if you have the imagination to get that, unfortunately, Snyder doesn't think Jimmy Olsen is a big deal. And that, as the guy who was leading the DCEU, that was his decision. I do not agree with that decision. Scott Edwards, she was probably supposed to more prominent in the sequel. That's not good enough, Scott. You know, Iris West, these characters are important. And when you just give them a throwaway, I don't think that's good. Especially how wonderfully she was catalogued in the Flash series and how big she was in the Flash series, you know. Ronnie Dodge, I love we see Jimmy in the Supergirl movie as well. Yeah, Mark McClure was brilliant. He cameoed in Smallville, in the Snyder Cut, in Justice League. He's brilliant. But yeah, a great Jimmy Olsen. And I hope we get, DC seem in the animations kind of are going for a Jimmy Olsen of color. Interesting considering his surname, but yeah, I don't think there's many Olsens of color. But hey, they've got to do whatever they have to do. And as long as it's a good actor and he's written properly and the way I want to see Jimmy Olsen kind of written, then I'm fine with it. But yeah, Jimmy Olsen is more important than people realize because you want that unit. Jimmy Olsen, you want Perry White, you want Lois, you want Cat Grant. You want a Cat Grant as well because she's kind of important in that dynamic. You want that Daily Planet family unit that we did in the old Reeves movies. And the Lois and, the New Adventures of Superman was pretty cool as well with that kind of family unit. Ronnie Judge, are we going to have Stan Lee cameos with Jim Lee in the movies? Maybe, but obviously the difference is that Jim Lee didn't, he's not Mr. DC. He is to a lot of people, but Stan Lee literally single-handedly invented Marvel, and that's why he's in the cameos. And believe you me, he weren't a humble guy. He enjoyed those cameos. So yeah, but Jim may get cameos, but yeah, I don't think so. But what we did see in the Suicide Squad was the creator of the actual Suicide Squad, like graphic novels, he actually got a little role to play, a little cameo. So we may see things like that from James and maybe lots of Superman cameos from people who have been involved in Smallville and stuff like that, cameoing in his Superman movies. So I think cameos like that will be ever present. Scott Edwards, Superman and Lois bait and switched Arrowverse fans. Superman and Lois is a great show, and they're in another universe. I don't have an issue with that, Scott. Ronnie Dodge, what a day to announce these movies as it's Grant Morrison's birthday. Wow. Ronnie just needs to be here when I'm live because he's got more information than I have, which is kind of embarrassing in a way because I should know all this shit. I just don't. But yeah, thanks for that, Ronnie. That's very interesting, and maybe Grant Morrison could be announced. Maybe the All-Star Superman from Grant Morrison. It is Grant Morrison, isn't it? And seeing he's been hinting about All-Star Superman, I just don't see how you do All-Star Superman considering Superman dies at the end of that story. But if you wanted to catalogue how we don't have Henry Cavill anymore, you could All-Star Superman him. Maybe that's something they may look to do. Scott Edwards, they lied and stung us along for 2 seasons. Did they lie, though? They didn't really say they were part of the Arrowverse, did they? They just didn't. They just didn't tell you. Maybe they led, maybe they kind of didn't say anything. But ultimately, I know you love the Arrowverse. I know you wanted it to be that version of Superman. But the truth is, Scott, this version of Tyler's Superman is far superior to the bitch-slapped, henpecked Superman we had in Arrowverse. He's a much better Superman. The only thing I'm upset with Superman Lois about is the treatment of the young man who's been replaced as John Kent. I'm very disappointed about that. No one seems to care. No one said anything about him. It's just, look, we've got a new cast member. We support him. It's not good enough, and that is disappointing. But yeah, I don't have that loyalty that you do for Arrowverse. I just think that Superman is such an important character and really should have been one of the early character shows for the Arrowverse, but Berlanti didn't want to do it. Now, it's a shame it's looking like we will lose Superman and Lois for its third year, but 3 seasons is a trilogy. So you look at it as a trilogy, and it's just a shame we've lost the actor who originally played John Kent because he was so good. And obviously something a bit dodgy and nefarious was going on there behind the scenes. I can understand your frustration, Scott, but this is showbiz, I'm afraid. I mean, look at us DCEU fans, what we've had to put up with. That dodgy upper lip from Henry Cavill, Justice League, which is one of the most embarrassing moments in the over 100-year history of Warner Brothers. DC fans have had to put up with a lot of shit in the past, 10 years? More than that, but around 10 years, yeah. So that's been highly disappointing as well. But today isn't a day for disappointment or negativity. Today's a day for celebration. Finally, DC, hopefully, will get their shit together. We will soon find out when we see these announcements whether they are really here or it's more of the same. Please don't be more of the same. I don't want to be doing videos, moaning, ranting, and raving. I really don't. Scott Edwards, you should do a book of Boba Fett finale review before Mando season 3 premieres. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll do it as part of a live video when I get around to watching that. But I am excited about The Mandalorian, and I'm a big supporter of Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni's side of Disney Star Wars. It's the only thing worth celebrating. I did not watch the other recent one they did from the Rogue One spin-off. Wasn't interested in that. From what I heard, it was very slow. Basically, the kind of pacing we're seeing in The Last of Us. Everyone's over-exaggerating how good The Last of Us is. It's okay. It's nothing special. And it's certainly not as good as The Walking Dead. And even The Walking Dead in the early days when it was popular was well overhyped. Ronnie Dodge, I've got to go, Mick, but see you at your live for the announcement later. See you later, Ronnie. Thank you for coming in. Thanks for the info. Thanks for the support. And I will see you for that big announcement. And I'm so excited, Ronnie. You're going to be here with me. We're going to be together. Everyone has a voice on this channel. I will always read out the comments unless they're abusive, because I no longer want to get involved with all of that. It's not worth it. I've taken the bait in the past, but no more. Positive channel. We're here to talk about entertainment, movies, and DC especially. So where are we? Scott Edwards, I'm interested in The Acolyte. Yeah, I'm not. I'm glad you're interested in The Acolyte. I'm not. Because I just have no interest in these people and, their extremism. I mean, look at Velma. Just look at Velma. Scott Edwards, could Star Wars go multiverse? I think in the end they may do that, and I think they could say that Kathleen Kennedy's stuff is on another Earth. That would suit them. I mean, look, it's a mess. I think Doctor Who, by the way, will go multiverse, and I think we're going to go some interesting directions with the spin-offs. I don't know about Star Wars, though. I think DC, by the way, will implement a multiverse strategy as Walter Hamada was going to do. So listen up to that. I think you will hear James Gunn utter the immortal words multiverse quite a few times in today's announcement. Also very interesting to see what Peter Safran had to say at this press conference as well. Apparently this press conference has already happened. They just haven't released the information to us, the public. We're always the last to know, but this is a big deal. Apparently there was press there, so this is a bigger deal than James Gunn just coming on Twitter and telling you a list of shit. Scott, it was definitely possible with the world between worlds. Yeah, listen, absolutely possible. But you have to, it's like everything, Scott. You can have a good idea, but in storytelling of any form, if you don't execute it properly, the good idea ends up being a bad idea. Just like the sequel trilogy. It's a good idea on its own, but it wasn't executed properly. And I'll tell you what the mistake was with the sequel trilogy. If JJ wrote and directed all 3 of those films, if JJ did the middle film, wouldn't be a problem, because he did a good job with The Force Awakens. I mean, I think he kind of could have been a bit more ambitious with his storytelling, but ultimately, I thought that Daisy Ridley and John Boyega were a great chemistry together. I like the stuff with Han Solo. I thought it was a solid movie after so many years without Star Wars movies. And I think if JJ only wrote and directed the second movie, then I think the sequel trilogy would have been so good. Because JJ Abrams, I know some people won't agree with this, does have good quality. Unfortunately, he's more of a businessman than he is a writer-director these days, and that's a shame. It is looking like he will be doing Star Trek 4. And I do like the Kelvin timeline myself, the first movie being my favourite. So that's where it went wrong for me, that I don't know why why couldn't Rian Johnson do a separate trilogy? Why couldn't Rian Johnson do his own movie? Nothing to do with that sequel trilogy. That was the mistake. You don't just throw another creative in there and say, well, we've had a first movie, but you can do whatever you want and tear that first movie down. That's not a good idea. It's not even good business, let alone not good storytelling structure or good business or anything else. But yeah, a huge day today, a huge day. And I know that fans are excited, as I am. Scott Edwards, Ahsoka is never even mentioned in the film. So I think this is already a separate timeline. Well, I don't know. I don't think so. I know she's not mentioned in the films. Don't forget, right, when George did his first 3 movies, Ahsoka hadn't even been created by Dave Filoni. There wasn't really a Dave Filoni at the time. Now, during the prequels, they hadn't created Ahsoka yet. Don't forget that as well. It was, she was pretty much inherently created for the Clone Wars, and she really worked well with Anakin as well in the Clone Wars, and it was great. So I think just because she's not mentioned in the films, now obviously she could have been mentioned in the sequel trilogy, but she wasn't. But I don't think that necessarily means she's from another timeline. But hey, I'm open to anything, and anything's possible, of course. So you may or may not have something there. We will have to wait and see. So we are looking at a 5 p.m. UK start for the announcements. I don't know in what form they will be. I'm assuming, I think what you have to look at it as is, when they come out and have their initial reactions to movies, the press, I think this is what you're going to get from Access Media in Hollywood. They're going to start posting up the announcements. And you will also get something from James Gunn's Twitter. I think this is the form that these announcements will take, and it's huge. And we will be here on Movies TV Mad to react to this very exciting day, because if it's huge. You can't be a DC YouTuber and not be hyped and excited and cover this shit as well as you can. And I will cover it to the best of my ability. And the best thing here is, to have fans, allow them to have their say, and I react to your say, and I give my say as well. Scott Edwards. If Ahsoka was there, Luke would not have went down the path he did, I think. Well, yeah. I mean, look, look. If you start going that way, it's a Pandora's box. You're opening a Pandora's box. I think what Rian Johnson was attempting to do is saying, like Snyder did with Superman, this is Luke Skywalker in the real world, and in the real world, he'd become a bitter and twisted old man. And I understand where he's coming from, but no one wanted to see a true-to-life Luke Skywalker. We wanted the wish fulfillment Luke Skywalker we saw in the fantasy world. We want a wish fulfillment Superman. We don't want a real world Superman snapping people's necks and blowing up petrol stations and not giving a shit about the collateral damage. This is why people get upset. And that's the truth. This is the problem with creatives these days. They want to subvert expectations. Well, Fincher subverted expectations with the 7th finale when, Brad Pitt's character finds his wife's head in a box. That's really subverting expectations. But killing off, the villain from The Force Awakens early on may be shocking, but not in a good way, because I wanted to see more of that villain. And then you're just left with Kylo Ren, who isn't a particularly great character, but he's kind of interesting. The actor who was playing him is better than the actual character he was playing, and he wasn't given enough food and drink to really get his teeth into. which is a shame. Trill J, Mick, you finally live? I certainly am. I'm definitely live. It's not an illusion. We are building up to the huge DC announcements today from James Gunn and Peter Safran. There has already been a press conference. It hasn't been made public yet. It will be around 5 p.m. UK time today. So work out what 5 p.m. in the UK is, in where you come from, and you'll know. As I say, I expect the press to start posting the press release, and it's going to be an official press release. Let's see what is said. I hope it's as big as everyone wants it to be. Let's see. I think people are overhyping themselves, and that can be a problem as well. Scott Edwards, did you like Luke in The Mandalorian Season 2 finale? I liked him. I didn't like the VFX on him, but I liked the fighting and everything. Trill J, I'm ready to see what the slate looking like. Hopefully DCU gets back on track. Well, this is DC Universe, a totally different franchise, different set of ideas. So it's never been on or off track. This is a new direction. Yusuf Al-Dujan, the DC multiverse is infinite. It certainly is. I do think we're going with the multiverse. I think that's what James will do, but we will see what's going on here. So, yeah, expect some kind of a press release, right? I think this is where we're going to go. And then the Access Media will be talking about their experiences at the press conference. So it's a bit of a huge deal. So I think DC Studios and WB are really handling this in the right way and getting people hyped, because DC is their biggest IP, and people start to need to get excited, because under 400 million for a Black Adam movie is simply not good enough. In fact, it's embarrassing. Scott Edwards, so what was the original plan post Flashpoint? Right, if you're talking about the Walter Martin multiverse strategy, this was to use Barry's abilities, basically with the Speed Force, to create an alternate reality in Earth 1 to save his mother, which would change his present. He then has to let his mother die. So he goes back and he believes he's reset the original timeline. But what he's done, he's reset another timeline, which is kind of the same as the one that he left, but there's different things. Sasha Calle's Supergirl is now a thing in the DCEU. Michael Keaton's Batman, that was the original idea. Batgirl, Leslie Grayson, Batgirl, things like that. These were the changes they were going to make. Now, prior to the Flash idea, of course, we had the Snyderverse, and we knew what was going to happen there. Man of Steel, BVS, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, Justice League, Aquaman, Justice League 2, The Batman, written, directed, and starring Ben Affleck, Justice League 3, and that was going to be that plan, Scott. But that was Walter Hamada's plan anyway, to try and move away from what Snyder did, and also to create a crisis, a final crisis on Infinite Earths as well. And what he was going to do was he was going to trap Batfleck and Cavill in another pocket universe. So they would initially all team up from the new timeline and the old timeline to fight Darkseid and his minions, which was also a pretty cool idea. I don't think we'll be going that way now. So I think in full, Scott, that's how I know it was going to be. But Walter Hamada was very unhappy once they shelved Batgirl. I don't know if they were planning to stay with Hamada originally. It's interesting. It wouldn't surprise me if Zaslav was considering sticking with Hamada. But once he pissed Hamada off, that was it. Because clearly, shelving Batgirl is a shocking situation. But I haven't seen the film, so I don't know why they did it. I think it was just for the tax write-off. And they made their decisions. Scott Edwards, Legion of Doom will be the end game now. Maybe, maybe not. Be cool, but I'm not sure about that. But these are things that can definitely be done. But there's so many things within the history of DC Comics that, you could throw anything and say, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. You can't do them all. at once. But yeah, it's going to be interesting what he decides to do and what direction. On yesterday's DC Universe Daily, I was asking who will be the main villain in this main story arc, catalogued through movies, TV animation, and gaming. And I was speaking about Checkmate. I was talking about Deathstroke maybe being the main villains in this first story arc of James Gunn's DC Universe. So that was a plan as well, to do Checkmate, which was going to be the Amanda Waller show they were speaking about last year. So we will see. I mean, Checkmate is a great thing and a great concept as well. But I just can't call what he's going to announce today. I can pretend, I can say he's going to do this, he's going to do that, but I just end up looking silly because I just don't know. You would expect him to announce more information about the Superman movie he's writing. You would like to hear some information about the Bat universe he's thinking about developing. Things like that are going to be important. Maybe on the future of Gal Gadot, maybe we'll find out a little bit more about that. That's going to be interesting. I don't know how big this announcement is going to be. He's already said it's not going to be huge. It's going to be on a few books. So just very interesting what he and Peter had to say at this press conference. And wow, yeah, bring it on. It does feel like Christmas today. It does feel like, look, any information is a huge amount of information, and it's more information than we actually have right now. And I think that's what's really important about that. And, you know, I think we will have phases. I think they'll call it something else. I don't think he'll call it phases, or he maybe call it chapters or whatever. But yeah, going down that line is important now. And, you know, it's funny because The Rock was talking about phase one. And, you know, he was saying that Black Adam is like phase one of the new DC EU. And of course, that's not going to be the case. He spoke a lot. The problem with The Rock, he spoke too much. And now he just looks dumb and stupid. He was trying to hype up. He was trying to take control of DC Studios. And it simply didn't work. Bit windy out there. I hate strong wind. So this is a new broom that we imagine will sweep a little bit clean. How clean that broom's going to sweep, how it's connected to what's gone before. Today is the day we find out what James Gunn is all about and find out how ruthless he is. We kind of already know that he's very ruthless in replacing Henry Cavill. That was a ruthless decision. I think it was an important decision. I think it was a brave decision. He knew he was going to make a lot of enemies, and he has. But he's also made a lot of people look stupid by acting in a certain way about that decision. Do you think that Henry Cavill really had a future? Do you think his movies could have brought him money? I mean, think about it logically. Don't think about it as a biased fan if you're a Snyder fan or a Cavill fan. Think about it. Just think about it. Now, his first Superman movie didn't make the money that the studio wanted, but that wasn't his fault, by the way. That was, you know, they did some controversial, divisive things, and that's why that film didn't make the money they wanted. And then it was downhill from them because they blamed the character. They did the whole BVS thing, and they just kept on digging themselves into bigger trouble. And I think, you know, Man of Steel's limited box office is nothing to do with Henry. I think he's a great Superman, but his die was cast from them. And I think that's what the problem was. And once you set your stall out, and once the audience has a certain opinion on what you're attempting to do, it's very difficult to win that audience back. So James Gunn has to win this audience back with today's announcements, however small and limiting they are. People have to be excited. The audience have to approve of what he's going to announce today, because you need the audience, you need the paying customer. That's the way it works, I'm afraid. I go into your shop. If you've got nothing I want to buy, I walk out again. It doesn't matter how elite you are, how wealthy you are, how famous you are. That's the way it is. Children, I think a Henry sequel could have definitely made $1 billion. People have to understand that when a movie franchise starts, our fans have to get a taste. That said, I think it was a good decision still. Well, we talk about, early starts. You look at the Iron Man first movie, not even a Superman movie, an Iron Man movie, made record-breaking money for a Marvel movie, did really, really well. Even the lesser quality Iron Man 2 did really well because the first film was beloved trilogy. So I think that can be a little bit of an excuse. It's Superman. It should have made $1 billion. And I believe the next snapping moment killed that movie's ability to make that kind of money. Because as I say, most parents wouldn't be taking their children to have them watch Superman snap somebody's neck. And that's the thing. And I know family members and I know friends who were disappointed that they couldn't take their children to see Man of Steel. Even the kind of, are we going to measure dicks and things like that? It's very, very adult. And, you take the element, imagine that. I'm a 10-year-old boy, 8-year-old boy watching Superman the movie and Lois Lane goes, so we're going to stop measuring dicks now. It's stuff like that. They try to be adult. They try to do something off the cuff. That's not who Superman is. If you want to do that kind of thing, do it with your own original characters. So they were from hiding to nothing from the beginning. Yusuf Al-Jujwan, I'm fine with Henry Cavill leaving so DC can start fresh. Yeah. Well, at the moment, it seems like he's the only one leaving. But that's another point of these announcements today, where we find out if anyone else is being replaced or carrying on. We pretty much know that Peacemaker 2 is definitely happening. And he's clearly going to continue that Suicide Squad universe. Maybe we may find out about a Bloodsport project. Who knows? A Deathstroke project. Anything could happen. Will Smith could return. I doubt it, but you never know. And maybe they'll tell us a bit about Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, about her future. You would imagine under James, who likes her as Harley, he's going to give us some kind of a future. It's interesting. Anything is possible. I don't think James Gunn will put any relationship he has with an actor in front of DC and the opportunity of becoming successful, because this is a career-defining moment for James Gunn. He's taken on a difficult gig. If he fails at it, he's fucked. But if he succeeds, the world's his oyster and he'll never be forgotten. Trilogy, Peacemaker Season 2 I want, but it isn't fair if he got rid of Cavill, but I guess it's more about being Gunn's universe. Well, Trilogy, put yourself in James Gunn's position. You've made Suicide Squad, which you think is a really good film. You've made Peacemaker as a sequel to that film, and you're happy with it, and the audience are telling you they enjoyed it, and it's yours, and you've done it. Would you just... He thinks that's good. He believes in it, and I agree with him. It is good. Why wouldn't you continue something that you've created, that you like? He believes that Cavill's Superman is problematic. And look at the evidence. He cameos in a Black Adam movie, and basically, apart from a few DC nerds, people weren't really excited. People didn't go to the cinema to watch said post-credit scene. The evidence is there, and I did warn about this. I said that, Zaslav will be watching this situation. Black Adam was a hiding to nothing once there wasn't enough interest in the Black Adam movie, and even when they shoved the Cavill Superman cameo in there, the audience barely trembled about it, and I think that really made their decision. So I was excited when I heard Henry was going to remain, but I also, on this channel, spoke about and catalogued the issues with doing so. Having the John Williams theme playing over him seemed a bit weird. Considering he's already got his own theme tune, it was all very, very strange. If you want to do that kind of thing, you have to start again. I'm not necessarily sure that James Gunn will use the John Williams theme, but we will see. We'll see what happens there. Yusuf Al-Jujwan, Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman need a recast. Interesting point of view. I think it's more than likely that Batman will get a recast. Wonder Woman, this is a very interesting situation. He somewhat denied rumors that he's benching her, getting rid of her, replacing her, but he hasn't spoken very... Normally with James, when someone says a rumor and he likes that person, he'll start giving them a glowing reference. He hasn't said much about her. I think it's clear that Gal isn't happy with the removal of Patty Jenkins. True, Jay, yeah, but at the same time, Black Adam is still Black Adam movie, but I'm not really much of a universe fan anymore. I think you know by now I'm only here for Batman of the rest of the Gotham now. But you're probably more of a Batman fan, so that's understandable. And that's great. I like the Batman. I think what Reeves did was very risky and brave. I like the fact that there's no action barely in the film and it's pure story. And it works for what he wanted to do. And the audience went there and it doubled, maybe even tripled what Black Adam made. And that tells you something. People are always going to be interested in great Batman, but you're a Batman fan. But there's people who are interested in the whole thing. And that's important that everyone is surfaced here. In the Snyderverse, it was only Snyderverse fans being serviced. And then the DCEU only like kind of Hamadaverse fans and stands being serviced. We want a DC franchise that serves the general audience and DC nerds as well. Whether they're Batman fans, Green Lantern fans, there's even bloody Plastic Man fans. Plastic Man, there's a place for Plastic Man in this universe. There's a place for Martian Manhunter in this universe. There's a place for Jimmy Olsen in this universe. All these characters have different fans. And there should be a place for characters that haven't been developed within live action before. And I think that's important as well. And this is something James Gunn will look to do because he's famous for doing that already. Scott Edwards, you think Wanda will return as a good guy in Kang Dynasty? Wouldn't surprise me. She's a woman. There's no such thing as a bad or evil woman, right? Well, according to progressive Hollywood, anyway. Where are we? Scott Edwards, also, do you think Bo-Katan will be good or bad in Mando Season 3? I predicted this already, Scott. I see Mando Season 3 as a Game of Thrones scenario. It's pretty obvious to me. She didn't like the fact that Mando got the black saber, and that's going to be a problem. I think there's going to be a big war for this black saber. He's going to return to Mandor, and I think we're really going to see a huge Game of Thrones situation, and I'm so here for that. And I think she's going to be bad. Trilogy, I hate pop-ups. Bane of my life. Trilogy, I really want to see DC Universe do good. Another pop-up, leave me alone. Right. Sorry, Trilogy. We'll get there in the end. Trilogy, I really want to see DC Universe do good, but the fact that they didn't release Batgirl was kind of just ooh to me. Yeah, listen, at the time, I've been here and there with it, but yeah, thinking about it, it wasn't a good thing. And they were desperate to raise money, and they said, yeah, let's take that shit and get a tax relief from it, which is a shame. It isn't a good look, but the directors have already said they're quite happy to work with Zaslav again. And there has been a meeting with those guys. James Gunn has met with them, which is really good as well. But I understand what you say, Trill. Scott Edwards, will Ahsoka and Luke be in Mando Season 3 too? I would expect Ahsoka to have some kind of little role. Not sure about Luke. Not sure about Luke. It's a bit difficult now they've opened Pandora's box with Luke. So you kind of have to catalogue him a bit more because people are going to be hungry for that. Scott Edwards, interested to see where Blue Beetle goes. Now, Blue Beetle is a very interesting film. Now, will we hear from James if Blue Beetle has a connection to the new universe? I don't know. But I think Blue Beetle is an interesting film and it could go either way. He's not a very famous character, but if done well, I think the general audience could come in for it. Who knows? Scott Edwards, they could easily fit Blue Beetle into the new universe. Oh, easily, yeah, for sure. I don't know if that's the plan, though. Trill J, Scott Edwards probably kind of want to see Mando do his thing with the black saber. Yeah, obviously I think he's been given the black saber now, right? But I think that's going to definitely a bone of contention. And there's going to be a war. There's going to be a war for the black saber because it's such a valuable thing. Just looking at, the kind of the animation where we've seen the black saber before. So I think, yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting to see where all this goes. If you want to watch Star Wars, watch what Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are doing. And I think they're the good side of it. And it's not about, they're representing women and minorities too. It's not about that. It's about being good at entertaining your public and not hating your own customers. Sarah Michelle Gellar, I'll say no more. Apparently, Ted Kord is not in the film. There's been a few rumours about Ted Kord. He could figure as some kind of cameo. Not sure about that. Children, I think Blue Beetle should wait right now. We need the Trinity with some good young babyface actors who can attract people to the cinema. Well, Blue Beetle is happening this summer. They've already made a film. I don't know if there's a connection there. I don't think it's just about the main characters. I think they will set up the main characters, Trilogy. The main characters are going to be there, but it's not either or. This is a universe. That's why he's renamed it DC Universe and not the Extended Universe, which means you will have Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. But you will also have the grade D, E, F, G, and Z characters. This is what I want as well. I want a universe brimming with different Justice League members. So this is why it's going to be called DC Universe. So you get what you're requesting here, but also everyone else gets their people as well. That is why it's called a universe. Scott Edwards, Sarah Michelle Gellar is a good actress. She's all right, but she's going on and on about, you know, fans attacking female superheroes, blah, 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 blah. Very boring. Not interested. Propaganda merchant. Not interested, Michelle. You're a has-been, love. She's promoting her new show and she's talking about it's just weird. I mean, this is not how you market stuff. If the guy from Coca-Cola says, I hate all men and I don't want them to drink my drink, right? It ain't good marketing, is it? These people are freaking nuts as far as I'm concerned. It's hilarious. It's hilarious what we've become. What this industry has become. It's sad. It really is sad. It's been a really good live. We've had lots of comments. People are excited for the announcement, as I am excited for the announcement. It's been brilliant. Scott Edwards, do you like Katie Sackhoff? I do. Katie's a very good actor. Children, anyway, Shazam looks pretty good. Yes, Shazam looks awesome. Looks like a bit of a Wrath of Khan movie. Looks to put, Shazam and Billy in a really huge, bind, big responsibility for him. He has the responsibility for the rest of the Shazam family, teenagers who he's made heroes. That's on him. And this is going to be a big story within the film. So, yeah, although I don't think we're looking at Joker or The Dark Knight, it does look like and sound like a really entertaining comic book movie. And I'm here for it. Scott Edwards, Batman in Blue Beetle? Well, that's an interest. There was a rumor about Batman in Blue Beetle, but what Batman? I think Keaton was supposed to be in that movie because that's who they were going with. So that's interesting within itself. Trilogy, anyone think Warner Bros. Has Ezra Miller chained to a chair somewhere? Bro went quiet. Yeah, I think he is definitely under house arrest because once Adby and DeLuca said we've been considering, if your behavior continued, cancelling that movie, he changed his mind because he's a big Flash fan and he was so arrogant, he thought he could do whatever he wanted and that movie would happen. And the new co-chairs of Warner Brothers Pictures, in no uncertain terms said, look, mate, if you carry on, you are done. Sorry for misgendering you, Ezra. It is easy to forget, but yeah. So yeah, Ezra is he's on his best behavior. One thing I can say, he's very good in the film. He's very, very talented. So let's hope he doesn't do anything else. I don't think he will. He doesn't want the film to be postponed or cancelled or anything. So we're going to see the Flash movie this year. And despite his behavior, because, look, people misbehave. People are twats. We're twats. They're twats. It's only because they lecture us that makes them hypocrites. Scott Edwards, Fraud in Mando Season 3. I think you will see him maybe at the end, the season finale maybe, or maybe like turn up like a little bit like this over, he's pulling the strings from the background. So I don't think you'll see a lot of him, but you should see him now and again. And that's the way I look at that. Very exciting because obviously Thrawn is a very brilliant villain, one of the best. And I love his design. I love the blue color. He's just so cool. And all this stuff created by Dave Filoni, such a genius, George Lucas did well finding the person to take over from him. And think about this for a minute. If he didn't sell Lucasfilm to Disney, basically Dave Filoni would probably be running Lucasfilm right now as a creative lead, like James Gunn is doing with DC Studios. Scott Edwards, and he'll play a bigger role in Ahsoka. Yes, I think he will. I think that's where he's going to be. That's where he's Ahsoka's person, isn't he? Really, more than Mando, who they created him for the show. So I think that makes sense that Thrawn is more connected to the Ahsoka show, and Ahsoka is a great character. Now, I think Ashley Eccleston did a great job with the voice of Ahsoka. In a way, it's a shame they didn't cast her. I think they wanted to cast a woman of colour. I don't think Ashley is a woman of colour. I think she's a white woman. And I think that's why they went the way they went. But I think Ashley Eccleston, fucking hell, what the characterization she did as Ahsoka, so brilliant. And I always treasure the Clone Wars and everything we've seen her in terms of animation. She's been absolutely fantastic. And you just, as soon as you hear her voice in the first movie they did of Clone Wars, and the subsequent series, and her relationship with Anakin, it's pretty much peak Star Wars, if you ask me. And even what they did with Darth Maul in animation as well, peak Star Wars. I think first comes the first trilogy, then it's the animation. So strong, really strong. And they're using the legacy of the animation in Dave and John's kind of universe. And ultimately, I think Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau will make their own Star Wars movie, and that will make a lot of money. Yusuf Al-Jajan, have you seen the trailer for the Mario movie? I have. I'm very, very impressed and excited for the Mario movie, and I think that's another big film. I think it's out this year, isn't it? So looking forward to that big time. I think I've seen a couple of trailers. I think there has been 2 trailers. Scott Edwards, Rosario Dawson is wonderful in the live action role. She certainly is. Rosario has been around for quite a while, played lots of great roles. She was in Daredevil as well, wasn't she? So, yeah, really, really good. I really like Rosario. Yeah, she is brilliant. But Ashley Eccleston, yeah, she is Ahsoka, really. She's the one who made Ahsoka a character, her characterization, and that can never be taken away from her. Never. And never should be taken away from her. The real deal, peak Star Wars for sure. Lots of great voice actors who have worked on Clone Wars and the other animation have been absolutely fantastic. So, guys, give me a couple more comments. I'm going to finish off the live. I will be back later to react to James Gunn's and Peter Safran's DC Universe and DC Studios announcements. I have no idea what these announcements are going to be, and I've been waiting for weeks and months, as you well know, to get my teeth into all of this. Scott Edwards, there's rumors Ashley might voice younger Ahsoka in the live-action series. That would be amazing. That would be awesome. I'll be very exciting. I'll be very happy with that. Let's see what happens there. This has been Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most, just ask your girlfriends and your wife. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this beautiful perfection. This has been the DC Universe Daily Live, and I will be back to cover this huge historic day for DC Universe and DC Studio as James Gunn and Peter Safran give us their plan and tell us where this is going. It won't be the hugest of announcements. They won't be telling us everything, but they will be giving us very vital information, and we will be covering it properly as it should be covered here on Movies TV Mad. Scott Edwards, apparently we'll see Ahsoka at different points in her life, which would be a really good idea. So looking forward to that, Scott. So Scott, Yusef, Trill J, Ronnie Dodge, and everyone else who's commented on today's live DC Universe Daily Live, thank you very much for your support. If you're rewatching this, please share it. Please like the video. Please show me your support. and I'll be very grateful for that. But around 5 p.m. UK time, just afterwards, I will be here covering this huge DC announcement. And I can't wait to be here with you. You will come here to have your say. I will come here to react to your say, give you my opinion on the information we're going to get. DC fans talking about DC together. I can't wait. See you again later. Until I see you again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.